Welcome back to Investing with Confidence. My name is Joshua David, and we are talking about all these financial markets here today: stock, options, futures, Forex, how to utilize the capital that investors have, being more efficient with that, and making smarter investing decisions within your 401ks, IRAs, or regular trading accounts. If you happen to miss two passes to that workshop that we're doing here in Bloomington, this Wednesday the 13th and also Saturday the 16th. It's a hands-on workshop with our platform, seeing how trades actually work and investments actually move. Call 952-814-4410 or text the word invest to the number 484848. When you get registered, we're going to get you a quick start kit just for getting set up, and there's a couple topics in there on 3 retirement strategies Wall Street doesn't talk about, but we had some down moves this week. There's strategies to profit from a stock sell-off. So, Al, we talk a little bit about ETFs in the last section, which are exchange-traded funds, which is basically a basket of whatever you're trading, whether it's the stock market, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Dow, or even the different commodities. Now, especially, we've seen a big move in energy especially this past week and a half or so, oil in particular, okay? Oil closed the week at $79.50 per barrel. Okay, actually touched that $80 mark, right, which is actually crossed those highs from 2018. So we're really seeing oil drive up. Speaking of drive, the prices of gas is going up. Thanks, you know who for that. But we've seen this market skyrocket, especially since March of 2020. What do you see moving forward with oil and energy, and how can investors use that to their advantage?
Well, I think oil and energy is going to continue going up. I mean, we're going into the winter season when oil typically goes up. But if you look at what's happened since January, the ETF that follows oil, the USO, is up 67% since January.
Yeah.
And anybody listening, you can reach your arm out as far as it will go and touch something. There's a good chance that the majority of you are touching something that requires oil or petroleum to create it or to deliver it. And we're seeing an increase in the cost of the commodities, cost of energy. The ETF that covers energy, that XLE, is up over 50% since January. So we're going to see a continuation of that. It's going to cause higher prices everywhere. And what we're seeing, Josh, and Bank of America says we're already here, is a period of stagflation, where we have a period of low growth and rising prices. That's the worst case scenario for investors. Eventually, that's going to impact wages, but it's going to impact the cost of everything. One of the reasons we're seeing that is that if you look in the harbor in California, the harbors there, and in New York, you're seeing all sorts of container ships sitting out there in the water because they can't unload. They can't find people to unload them. Now, the same thing is happening in China. They can't find people to load them. So it's going to have a huge impact on us, but oil and energy will continue to go up. And how do you participate in that? Well, the ETFs that activate or that are active with oil, the USO, the XLE, those are great ways to participate. But also understand that there are ETFs that are what we call inverse ETFs too. So if the market is crashing, and here's a question to ask yourself. If the market does roll over and we go through a 10 to 50, 60% correction, how are you going to benefit from that? And if you don't know how, if you can't say you know how, then you need to come into one of these classes, because we talk about these. There are assets that are perfect for participating in a down market. And in fact, as we know from our experience, the market goes down faster than it goes up. You have an opportunity to have the potential to benefit yourself faster during market correction.
Yeah, and just for example, we're talking a lot about energy and oil. So oil has a futures contract. So basically what futures are is you're buying and selling contracts, basically speculating what the price of something could be, like a commodity, in the future. So with the oil contract, I mean, closing at about $79 a barrel, you can purchase oil there, just buy a contract. So you're not paying thousands and thousands of dollars for oil. You're paying basically whatever the contract requires you to purchase it for. So a lot of people that are looking at the markets for income potential use the futures market because it has leverage, but also most people work during the day. they're open 24 hours a day. So you have the opportunity to trade in the evening as well. We talked about the S&P 500 earlier. The S&P, it has a SPY ETF for the S&P 500. It also has the futures contract. So if you want to participate in the futures market and the stock market at the same time, you just buy the ES, which
Right.
is the contract for the S&P 500.
Yeah, and you do that for a much less output than you would if you bought the SPY ETF.
Yeah, exactly. And basically, so the price of the S&P 500 futures contract is at 43.74, but the brokers will allow you to use margin. Basically, it
Mhm.
requires a small amount of capital up front. It's just like kind of like a deposit or a down payment. They don't take that from your account. They just hold it and they use it as almost like a collateral type thing.
Sure,
So
right.
just think of this: you have some capital, you're using portions of that. You're not investing all of your money into the market like you do with stocks. So if you want to learn more about the futures market, we have a platform that actually can help you walk you through your investment decisions. It's called Click, and how to place your entry points, your buys, your sells, how to see these markets actually move. These are 24-hour markets. So Al teaches these workshops here in Bloomington. They're hands-on. Call 952-814-4410. He also goes through how to buy at wholesale and sell at retail, just like the financial institutions do, but and also how to time the market by letting price come to you. It's how that's done with a step-by-step process. If you're new to the markets, or maybe you've tried trading on your own and quit for whatever reason, you got to get educated and come to one of these workshops here in Bloomington, 952-814-4410, or text the word invest to the number 484848. Also, we talked about futures. We talked about oil, the ETFs and everything. But let's get into, I guess, let's talk a little bit about another asset class,
Mhm.
which allows leverage and is also trades 24 hours a day, is the Forex market.
Exactly. Yeah.
So with
Forex, by the way, it's a foreign exchange market for those of you that don't know what it is.
Yeah, so for the foreign exchange market, better known as the Forex market, it's traded basically as a pair. You're trading one currency against another. For instance, the dollar versus let's just say the yen, right? So just looking at a chart here, and the dollar drives everything out.
Yeah, it does.
Before we get into some Forex things, how do you think the dollar has been impacting the stock market recently?
Well, when the price of the dollar goes up, when the value of the dollar goes up, that everything costs more, and it impacts our exports. People that are buying products from us have to pay more for that. It impacts the price of commodities. So there's a number of things there, and it's one of the things that we show our students how to use with multiple assets, where you're
Hmm.
looking at one asset and how it can impact the value of another asset. And these things, and we're talking about a lot of things that people might be going, oh, that's so much stuff. It really isn't. What we try to do is simplify things. And you've talked about, buying at wholesale and selling at retail. That's
Yeah.
buying low and selling high.
Hmm.
The only way you can do that is if you can identify where the people or the groups that are impacting price, where they are buying and where they are selling. When Josh is referring to our supply and demand zones, those demand zone is where they're look at it as an area on a price chart, an area zone where there's millions of buy orders just sitting there waiting to come into the market. In a supply zone, that's another zone at a higher level where there may be millions of sell orders, institutional sell orders waiting to come into the market. If you can identify those areas and you know in advance where the buys will take place and where the sells will take place, you can have a trade position, whether you're trading stocks or ETFs or futures contracts or Forex contracts. You can be positioned and have a high probability of being in that area where you're going to buy low and where you're going to sell low. But it all comes down to identifying the right price. And our
Yep.
core strategy does that because what we're doing is we're just identifying footprints that the big institutions are leaving in the market for us to take advantage of.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of supply and demand zones, and we talked about the dollar the dollar is king. It kind of rules everything in the financial markets in a way, and it's been rising here for quite some time since May of 2021. It was at the bottom of that point there,
Right.
but where we've been seeing an uptrend, which is dictating some of these stock market declines. But it's in right now a potential supply zone where sellers could be coming in. So once we see what happens with this, that'll impact the stock market. So it's understanding all these different assets. They all intertwine. Stocks are impacted by futures, and Forex, and options are impacted by the Forex market, the futures market, the stock market. So, understanding how these actually work can help you make smarter investing decisions, especially in your retirement accounts. And we're going to talk more about retirement accounts in the next segment. But Al, these different markets, they're not new. They're just different.
Right, right.
And how do you help people real quick? How do you help people become confident making these decisions in these different markets?
Well, it doesn't make any difference which market you're trading, which asset you're trading. It gets down to price, as I mentioned before. And let's be honest, prices are controlled by the big players that have enough money, enough clout to move price. So that is key, regardless of whether you are trading in the foreign exchange market, the futures market, the stock market, is to identify in advance where those people will be active. And what we're doing is identifying unfilled orders. So, first of all, understand how the market functions, what causes price to change. That's the core strategy. Kind of look at it as a solar system, and you've got like 8 or 9 planets that are rotating around the sun. Well, the core strategy is the sun. And the planets that are revolving around it, those are the different assets that you plug into that core strategy. So once you learn how to time the changes in price, then identify the right asset that is most beneficial to you. And the reason that we teach all of those different assets is that people are different, and they have different goals. They're different as to where they want their life to be in the future financially compared to where they are now. And there may be one asset that's best for one person that's totally the wrong asset for somebody else.
Yep.
So you want to have access to education in one place where you have a bricks and mortar location to go where you can actually get hands-on education.
Yeah, and that place is Online Trading Academy. Get the hands-on. We have these workshops here in Bloomington. I have one Wednesday the 13th coming up, or Saturday the 16th. And these are classes where we've taught thousands. Just like you, are many strategies, and these are designed to help you make better investing decisions. So call 952-814-4410 for this workshop. It's hands-on right here in Bloomington. You're going to be able to use the platform, see how the actual market functions, but actually see what you can do with it by making smarter investing decisions. 952-814-4410, or text the word invest to the number 484848. Coming up next, Al, I want to continue the discussion about using leverage, making smarter investing decisions, especially in your retirement accounts. Coming up next, we're going to talk more about retirement, 401ks, and IRAs. 952-814-4410.